What if one calm sentence could flip an entire room and leave Donald Trump completely silent? It started like a normal conversation, nothing unusual, nothing tense. But then Kamala Harris said something no one expected, and the entire atmosphere changed in seconds. No shouting, no chaos, just a quiet moment that kept getting heavier. And when Trump finally responded, it wasn't loud. It was something far more powerful. Stay with this, because the turning point isn't where you think. And the silence that followed says everything. The stage glows under soft, steady lights, clean and perfectly arranged. Every chair is placed with care. Every camera is locked in position. At first glance, it feels like a normal evening, calm, controlled, and predictable. The audience sits quietly, waiting, some leaning back comfortably, others watching the stage with quiet interest. There's no tension yet, just expectation. Then the doors open. Donald Trump walks in with a steady pace, his posture straight, his expression firm and confident. He doesn't rush. He doesn't look around too much. He walks like someone who already owns the moment. The audience reacts with attention, some clapping, others simply watching closely. He takes his seat, adjusts slightly, and looks ahead. Calm, focused. For a few seconds, everything feels exactly how it should. Then, from the other side, Kamala Harris steps in. Her walk is measured, controlled. She doesn't show too much emotion, but she doesn't need to. Her calm presence speaks for itself. She reaches her place, sits down, and gives a small nod, simple, respectful, and composed. Now both are on stage. Facing forward. Facing each other. The conversation begins. At first, it moves smoothly. Simple questions are asked. Clear answers are given. The tone is balanced, almost neutral. Trump speaks with confidence, his voice steady, his words direct. Kamala responds with the same calm control, choosing her words carefully, never rushing, never over-explaining. The audience listens quietly. Everything feels steady. Predictable. Safe. A few light moments pass. A few polite exchanges. Nothing too sharp, nothing too deep. It's the kind of conversation people expect, measured, controlled, and easy to follow. But then, something shifts. It's small at first, almost unnoticeable. A pause that lasts just a second longer than usual. A response that feels slightly heavier than the one before. The rhythm of the conversation changes, not in a loud way, but in a subtle, quiet way. Trump finishes a point and leans back slightly. Kamala doesn't respond immediately. Instead, she watches him. Carefully. Her eyes stay focused, her expression still calm, but now there's something more behind it, something thoughtful, something calculated. The audience begins to feel it too. The energy is changing. Not dramatically, but enough. Another question is asked. Another answer is given. But now, every word feels like it carries more weight. The space between sentences feels longer. The silence feels deeper. Kamala continues to listen more than she speaks. She lets Trump talk. She doesn't interrupt. She doesn't rush to respond. It almost feels like she's waiting for the right moment, the right opening. Trump remains confident, speaking the way he always does, steady and direct. But even he seems to notice the shift. His tone becomes slightly more focused, his pauses more deliberate. The audience is no longer relaxed. Now they're watching closely, listening more carefully, trying to understand what's coming next. Kamala slightly adjusts her posture. It's a small movement, but it changes everything. She leans forward just a little, her hands coming together, her focus sharper than before. Her calm expression remains, but now it feels different, stronger, more intentional. This is no longer just a conversation. It's building towards something. Trump looks at her, sensing the change. The room grows quieter. No one moves. No one speaks. And then, without raising her voice, without changing her calm tone, Kamala begins to speak again. And in that moment, everything starts to change. Kamala begins to speak again, but this time, something feels different. Her voice is still calm, still steady, but now there's a clear edge to it. Not aggressive, not loud, but sharp enough to make everyone pay attention. Kamala Harris doesn't rush her words. She speaks slowly, almost carefully, as if each sentence is placed exactly where it needs to be. The room, already quiet, becomes even stiller. The audience leans in. They can feel it. This is no longer just a simple exchange. This is something else. Across from her, Donald Trump watches closely. His posture remains steady, his expression firm. But his eyes are locked on her now, more focused than before. He's listening, not just to respond, but to understand where this is going. Kamala starts with a simple point. At first, it sounds general, almost harmless. She talks about how people often see things from the outside and quickly form opinions. How situations can look one way, but actually be something completely different. The audience nods slightly. It feels relatable. Safe. But then, she adds another layer. Her tone stays calm, but her words become more direct. She begins to hint at something more specific. A situation, a connection, something that sounds serious but still not fully clear. Trump's expression tightens just a little. Not a big reaction, but enough to notice. Kamala continues, her eyes steady, her posture unchanged. She doesn't look away. She doesn't hesitate. She builds slowly, one sentence at a time, each one adding a little more weight to what she's saying. The audience starts to shift in their seats. Some people glance at each other. Others focus harder, trying to piece everything together. There's a quiet tension growing, spreading through the room. Then she says it. Not loudly, not dramatically, but clearly enough that everyone hears it. She refers to an illegal relationship. The words land heavily. For a moment, no one reacts. It's too sudden, too unexpected. The air in the room feels different now, thicker, heavier. The kind of silence that makes every second feel longer. Trump doesn't speak. He stays still, his face serious, his eyes fixed on her. The confidence is still there, but now it's mixed with something else, focus, maybe even caution. Kamala doesn't stop. She continues speaking, but she doesn't rush to explain everything at once. Instead, she lets the idea sit in the room, letting people process what they just heard. Then she adds more, small details, careful words, building the picture slowly. The audience begins to react quietly. A few soft gasps. A few confused looks. But no loud response. Because no one is fully sure what this means yet. Trump shifts slightly in his seat. It's a small movement, but it breaks the stillness for a second. He adjusts his hands, then rests them again, his posture still controlled. He looks like he's preparing to respond, but he doesn't. Not yet. Kamala keeps going. Her tone never changes. Calm, controlled, almost steady in a way that makes everything feel more serious. She doesn't accuse directly. She doesn't raise her voice. But the way she speaks, it keeps the attention locked. It makes people think. It makes people question. The room is now completely silent. No movement. No distractions. Just her voice. And the weight of her words. Trump watches, listening to every sentence. His usual quick reactions are gone. This time, he's taking it in, carefully, almost as if choosing the right moment to respond. Kamala finally slows down. Her last sentence is softer, more measured. And then she stops. No dramatic finish. No raised voice. Just silence. The kind that fills the entire room. All eyes turn to Trump. Waiting. Watching. Expecting something immediate. A strong response. A quick reaction. But instead, he does nothing. For a moment, he just sits there. Still. Silent. And that silence says more than any words could. The tension rises again. Higher this time. Because now, everyone is waiting for what comes next. For a few long seconds, The room stays completely still. All eyes remain on Donald Trump. He doesn't react the way people expect. No quick reply, no sharp comeback. Instead, he sits quietly, his hands resting in front of him, his posture steady but slightly more rigid than before. His expression is serious now, focused, controlled, and unreadable. That silence begins to speak on its own. The audience feels it. It's not empty. It's heavy. Across from him, Kamala Harris watches closely. Her face remains calm, but her eyes stay fixed on him, almost like she's waiting to see how he handles this moment. She doesn't interrupt. She doesn't add anything. She simply lets the silence grow. And somehow, that makes it stronger. Trump finally shifts slightly in his seat. It's a small movement, but it breaks the stillness just enough. He adjusts his hands, then leans back a little, taking a slow breath. It's clear now. He's choosing his response carefully. When he finally speaks, his voice is lower than before. Not loud, not aggressive, just controlled. He starts slowly. Be clear about something, he says, his tone steady. The audience leans in again. This is the moment they've been waiting for. But instead of reacting emotionally, Trump does something unexpected. He doesn't attack. He doesn't raise his voice. Instead, he begins to question the idea itself. Step by step, he talks about how easy it is for people to hear something serious and immediately assume it must be true. How a single phrase, especially one that sounds strong, can shape how people think, even before they understand the full picture. His words are simple, direct, easy to follow. And that's what makes them effective. Kamala listens without interrupting. Her posture remains calm, but there's a slight shift in her expression now. Not dramatic, but noticeable. Her earlier confidence, the sharp control she had when she introduced the claim, feels a little less certain. Trump continues. He leans forward slightly now, his eyes focused. When something sounds big, he says, people react fast. They don't always stop to ask where it came from or what it really means. The audience is quiet, completely still. Some begin to nod slightly, not in agreement with a side, but in understanding of the point. Trump doesn't rush. He lets each sentence settle before moving to the next. That's how confusion starts, he adds, not from facts, but from how things are said. The room feels different now. The tension hasn't disappeared, but it has changed. It's no longer about shock. Now it's about thinking. Kamala shifts slightly in her seat. Her eyes drop for just a brief moment, then return to him. It's quick, but it's there. Trump notices, but he doesn't react to it. He stays focused, calm, measured. And if something isn't clear, he continues, it shouldn't be treated like it already is. His voice remains steady, never rising, never breaking. And that calmness carries weight, more than any loud reaction could. The audience feels it. The shift is happening again. Slowly, quietly, but clearly. Trump leans back again, his posture more relaxed now, as if he has made his point. And then, after a short pause, he adds one final line. Simple, direct. If it doesn't fully make sense, then maybe it's not what it seems. Silence fills the room once more. But this time, it feels different. It's not confusion anymore. It's realization. Kamala looks at him. Then, for just a second, she looks away. It's a small moment. Easy to miss. But it says everything. The energy that once leaned in her favor has shifted. Not through force. Not through loud words. But through calm, steady control. And in that moment, Trump's silence, followed by his measured response, speaks louder than anything else that's been said. Kamala takes a slow breath and straightens her posture again. Kamala Harris looks composed, but there's a slight change now, something more careful in the way she holds herself. The calm confidence is still there, but it feels more measured than before. She begins to respond. Her voice is steady, but softer than earlier. She repeats parts of her point, trying to bring the focus back to where she had control. She speaks about perception again, about how situations can appear different depending on how you look at them. But this time, it doesn't land the same way. The audience listens, but they don't react. No surprise, no tension, just quiet attention. Because now they're thinking. They're not reacting to the words, they're questioning them. Kamala adds a few more lines, trying to support her earlier statement. She explains it again, slightly differently, as if adjusting her approach might bring back the same impact. But instead of getting stronger, the message feels less certain. Across from her, Donald Trump remains completely still. He doesn't interrupt. He doesn't react mid-sentence. He simply listens, letting every word stand on its own. And that silence begins to work against her. Because now, there's nothing interrupting the flow. Nothing changing the focus. Just her words and how they sound. She finishes her point. And then, nothing. No immediate response. No quick reaction. Just a pause. Trump waits a moment longer than expected. It's not dramatic, but it's enough to make the silence feel heavier, enough to let everything settle. Then he leans slightly forward. His expression calm. His tone quiet. And he asks just one question. Where did this come from? That's it. No long explanation. No added pressure. Just one simple question. But it hits harder than anything else. Kamala doesn't answer right away. For the first time, she hesitates. It's brief, but noticeable. Her eyes shift slightly, her lips part as if she's about to speak, but she pauses for a second longer than expected. And that second feels long. The audience notices. You can feel it in the stillness. Everyone is waiting. Waiting for something clear. Something solid. Something that brings the confidence back. Kamala finally responds. But this time, her words feel different. She mentions sources, but not clearly. She refers to information, but without strong support. The structure of her earlier confidence is still there, but now it feels less grounded. There's a gap. A visible gap between what's being said and what can actually be held onto. Trump doesn't interrupt. He doesn't react. He just listens again. And somehow, that makes the moment even stronger. Because now, no one needs to explain what's happening. The audience begins to see it for themselves. This is no longer about a strong claim. It's about how something unclear can sound convincing until it's questioned. People shift slightly in their seats. Some glance at each other. Others remain still, processing. Kamala realizes it too. Her shoulders relax just a little. Her tone changes again, softer now, slower, more careful. Each word feels more measured, as if she's thinking before speaking instead of leading the moment. The sharp control she had at the beginning. It's fading. Not suddenly. Not dramatically. But quietly. And that quiet shift says everything. Trump stays calm, giving her space, not pushing further. Because he doesn't need to. The moment has already turned. And everyone in the room can feel it. The conversation begins to slow down, not with a clear ending, but with a quiet shift in energy. The tension is still there, but it feels different now. It's no longer sharp or uncertain. Instead, it settles into something heavier, something that stays in the room even without words. Donald Trump leans back slightly in his chair, his posture more relaxed than before. His expression is calm again, but not the same as when he first walked in. There's a thoughtful look now, like he's fully aware of how the moment has changed. Across from him, Kamala Harris sits quietly. Her composure is still there, but it feels softer. The sharp edge from earlier is gone. She listens, nodding slightly, her movements slower and more careful. No one rushes to speak. No one tries to restart the tension. It's like both sides understand that the moment has already reached its peak. Trump speaks again, but his voice is calm, almost neutral. He doesn't go back to the claim. He doesn't repeat what was said earlier. Instead, he keeps it simple, closing his thoughts in a controlled and respectful way. There's no attempt to win. No final push. Just a quiet ending. Kamala gives a small nod in return. From the outside, it looks polite and steady. But there's something behind it, something quieter. Her eyes don't hold the same certainty as before. There's a pause in her expression, like she's reflecting on everything that just happened. What started as a strong and bold moment didn't end the same way. The audience begins to clap, but it's not loud or energetic. It's slow, thoughtful, the kind of reaction that comes when people are still thinking, still processing. Because this wasn't just a simple exchange. It was something more. A moment where words were tested, where tone mattered more than volume, where calm thinking carried more weight than strong claims. Trump stands up first, adjusting his jacket slightly. His movements are steady, controlled, just like at the beginning, but now there's a quiet confidence in the way he carries himself. Kamala stands as well, maintaining her composure. They exchange a brief nod, no long handshake, no extra words. Just acknowledgement. As she turns to leave, her steps are slower than when she first walked in. Still confident, but more measured, more aware. Trump watches for a second, then turns back toward the audience, but he doesn't say much. Because there's nothing left to explain. The message has already settled. The lights begin to dim, slowly fatting the stage into a softer glow. The room remains quiet, even as the moment comes to an end. No music. No distraction. Just silence. And in that silence, one thought becomes clear. How quickly things can change when words are not fully grounded. How a strong claim can lose its weight when it is questioned calmly. And how sometimes the most powerful response is not loud, not aggressive, but steady, clear, and impossible to ignore. The screen fades to black, and one quiet question remains. Was it worth it?